Good to see you guys. Well, my name is Vishnu Waka. If you can't tell by my accent, I am from New Jersey.
Greetings, human beings. Welcome. This is the 7th episode of Unlicensed Therapists, a platform where we dissect the human experience of the 21st century and explore how we think, how we relate, and how we believe. And I'm super excited to have on the podcast one of my favorite rising comedians. You almost certainly have seen one of his viral clips on TikTok or on the comedian Godfrey's podcast, or you've seen him opening up for international comedy legend Russell Peters. So and we've got Vishnu Vaka, and Vishnu moved to the US as a teenager, but says he kept his Indian accent because he loves it. He says he does what he does because he wants people to be happy and laughing all the time. And well, mission accomplished. I mean, he's been doing that with all of us. So, Vishnu, welcome to the podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time, man.
Thank you, Ali. Great. Thank you for having me, bro.
Yeah, it's so just quickly, as always, if you're watching this on YouTube, please take a quick second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can be informed when we have future episodes. If you're hearing us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or any of the other streaming platforms, please give us a rating. And all of this really helps get the show in front of more people. And I really, really appreciate your support. It's been going really great so far. So, and as you know, you can follow us on Instagram at Unlicensed Therapist Podcast for all information, clips, and upcoming shows. So Vishnu, I'm just going to get into it, man. One of the things that I love the most about you, and I think it's also what people find really magnetic about your work, is how you face these head-on stereotypes about Indian people and how you challenge them. So first, how did you decide to become a comedian, and what was your journey that led you into doing that? And then also, what made you decide to use comedy as a way to challenge these stereotypes about the Indian people?
So, I mean, all my life I've been in a journey, bro. It's like I don't know why I'm here. What is my purpose in life? And my parents were always moving. When I moved to America, it kind of broke me because until then I kind of figured out the world around me, and I came to a point where I was like, okay, I can be cool for the rest of my life. Like, I won't.
Yeah.
Like, I know how to deal with in this society. And then my parents are like, let's go to America. Then I come here, and there's like so much. Like, I would have a great conversation with a friend, and I would think they're my friend, and then they would say something like, when we're hanging out, some stereotype about my people or me, and it just throws me off. Like, I thought, like, dude, like, you were talking to me all along while you're thinking of me that way. Like, like,
Yeah.
And I went to West Virginia, I went to high school there, and I made a lot of good friends, like, white people, like, but good friends. But that was always the thing, like, and like, okay, I correct you, I tell you, like, yo, that stereotype is wrong, like, we don't do what you think we do, and then how many people am I going to tell that to? Like, your friend, his family, the entire family thinks that way. Because one thing British people did to us is, like, South Asians or any place they took over, they always found these minor things that are not really the extreme points, and sold it to the West as if that is how we live. Like, if you look at, like Islam, or our Hindus, like, they think so many things about us that I'm like, dude, all Muslims are not like that, all Hindus are not like that. Like, there is a percentage of the people might be extremists and who think that we are, who act that way, but we all got crazy people in every religion, every society, who push it to the extremes because they don't know any better, they're insecure. The extremists are always the insecure one. They are the ones who are always thinking like, oh, we got to, like, push the world into this direction. This is the only way. And by doing that, they see so a lot of, like, stereotypes about us, and that always bothered me. And almost when I was 40, my wife and I was like, my wife is like, dude, like, the only thing you really are good at is comedy. Like, you should really think about stand up. And I think, unless you do that, you're not going to be happy. And that just put in the last piece of puzzle in my head, because all my life that was my thing. I moved 14 schools by the time I hit fifth grade. I moved to America when I was 15. But wherever I went, I always made lasting friendships. I still speak to friends that I went to school for 6 months in third grade and fifth
Yeah.
grade. It's like my thing was I was funny. Like I can take any scenario and give you a perspective that is, that makes it funny. And
Yeah.
and I mean, it's just God gave me that gift, and that helped me. And now I realize that is what I should be doing, and that
Yeah.
is also gives me a way to address these stereotypes.
Yeah, no, I completely get what you're saying about how people tend to think here that there's a certain kind of way that you're going to be, right?
Yeah,
If you're Indian or Pakistani, or in my case, I was raised Muslim. I'm
yeah,
not very religious. One of the things that I actually the thing that got me onto you, someone sent me your clip on the religions, which I even when I watched today, I just laugh. Everybody, I just
I'm
looked
going
at
to,
everybody.
yeah,
Yeah, and
I did a variation on that. I'm going to post that soon. I did
yeah,
it, but yeah, thanks,
yeah, I
bro.
gotta hear. I mean, it just went everywhere. But one of the things was I noticed that here people like they talk about diversity a lot, and
Yeah,
whenever they're talking about diversity, they're talking about everybody who looks different. This person's brown, this person's white, this is
yeah,
black, this is gay, this is and so
yeah,
on. But they don't. They think that they have this idea that everybody looks different, but they think that they think the same,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And that's the idea. Like I've been to places and people have said, oh, hi, welcome, and don't worry, we also have non-alcoholic drinks. I'm like, well, why would you
yeah.
think that I
Assume
just
that.
because I was like, there's no, not all people, there's a lot of diversity within groups as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
right? So
And
that's
yeah, and the worst thing is I don't mind if they like, oh, for example, like, I was doing at this club, this guy kept on telling me that he has like a great steak, and he's like, I can't believe you don't eat it. I was like, I will eat it, I don't give a fuck, like, I'm not religious like that,
uh,
but also I'm going through my life where I'm like, it's not about the diet, I'm more about carnivorous diet. I only
mhm,
eat animals that eat other animals, so I don't
yeah,
eat herbivorous animals. So that's why I was like, I'm not going to eat it, but I'm not because of the religious reasons. But going back to your question, that is
mhm,
what always threw me off. I don't mind a stereotype, like, if you're respectful to me, but a lot of times you're being disrespectful by assuming I would be certain way. Like,
yeah,
we are all regular people, and even if you go to any corner, it's not just Hindus, Muslims, brown people, black people. Like, how much shit they tell us about black people.
yeah, yeah,
I'm in a podcast.
yeah.
Go. That's my son. He just wanted to come.
Oh, that's yeah,
Right?
that's right. Like
Can you close the
I've
door?
got it happens to me all the time. I have a 7-year-old daughter,
Yeah.
and she just wants to be a part of everything. So I get it.
Yeah.
Like it's a
Yeah,
yeah.
he's usually he would be like, but I don't know. He got it today. He's only four, but
Uh
usually he would be like, oh no, I'm going to sit in your lap. But today I think he's like, okay, I'm going to let you do your thing.
huh.
So
That's good. Respect to him, man. This is
thanks.
great. I had some later on. I wanted to ask you about like the
Yeah.
parenting thing too, but so I had it. Yeah. So one of the questions is like, um, is it difficult like when you write your
Yeah.
content or however create your comedy? Is it difficult to write it for the people the East and the West, like with the language differences, and are there certain which audiences say more forgiving or more accommodating with jokes that don't necessarily land and
I
which can be
actually don't think about it that way, bro. I'm
mm,
more about if the joke is based on honesty.
mm,
Because the thing is, like, a lot of times we get into these zones where we're trying to push an idea. So
yeah,
everything you try to talk about is about that idea. And then there is, and every idea has holes. There is no perfect idea. So
right,
when you get like too into that one idea, you are like trying to ignore the descendants. And that's where you get people like fighting with you.
mm,
And there you always have haters who are like extremists, and they want to, like, for example, I post something about being a Hindu or an Indian, there'll be like a bunch of people coming and commenting about, telling me to go drink cow piss. I mean, it's like you can't help those guys.
yeah,
They're lost, they're,
especially on Twitter. I think like
yeah.
on
I
yeah,
mean, I don't care about those guys, but if some guy is an intelligent guy who seem to have a distorted view, I don't mind correcting them you know
mm,
so my jokes are also like that. I'm going to make jokes about as long as I'm honest to the situation, I'm not taking sides, and I'm going to be call the bad guy, like it's not about a bad guy. It's like the person who's on at the wrong, point it out. I'm fine. I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about the audience, and if they don't get it, it's their problem.
Right.
I'm just going to, because I can't. You can't, as an artist, you can't accommodate for a certain type of audience. You
Uh-huh.
just have to do your art and let the receiver figure out what he wants to do with it. Even the religion joke, when I wrote it, I literally just wrote about what I felt like when I was growing up. Like when
Mhm.
they told me Indian history, like, okay, this is how it is. And I was like, yeah, every corner we got a temple. Every corner we have a different way of doing, rituals. And then
Yeah.
every corner we have a mosque. And, it's like, and then there is, like, I grew up in a town where it's like 50% Hindus, 50% Muslims,
Mhm.
and these guys get along all the time, like literally, like there would be like a Dashra festival and then a Ramjan, and
Mhm.
the whole like entire month and a half is a party for the entire town, because
Yeah.
people are like exchanging gifts, the food is sent, like Dashra we send food to our Muslim friends, and then they
Yeah.
send biryanis, and then you hear about all these people fighting, and you're like, that is not what I've seen. These
Yeah.
people are acting at a different level, that they're coexisting, they're living fine, but it's the outsiders who are always trying to say like, oh, you guys should be fighting.
Yeah, I had my I always called this is funny, like what you're saying online about a lot of, especially the Indians and Pakistanis, how they're always going at each other. And like my I always call myself, because my parents were born, my dad was born in Allahabad, my mother was
Yeah,
born in Mathura,
yeah.
and her family's from Delhi.
Oh yeah,
So they so whenever when if somebody's American, there was somebody's born in America, their parents are Italian, you
yeah,
call them Italian American.
yeah,
So my parents were born in India. I was born in Pakistan. So I say, "Yeah, I'm Indian Pakistani."
yeah.
And it's funny because that pisses off everybody. It just
Indian,
doesn't
Pakistani, American now.
yeah,
There's
Indian Pakistani. Yeah, in
I'm a,
my case, Canadian. And so
yeah, yeah,
speaking of Canadians, man, you have gotten the attention. Like I said,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you Russell Peters is a fan of yours. He took you on tour with him. How did that
So
connection happen?
Russell Peters literally picked me up from street and put me on a map. That guy is like my angel. Like
Yeah,
first, like one of the reasons okay, when I moved to America, right, like I used to watch Jay Leno and all these shows, and I'd be like, okay, this is cool, but I didn't see any brown people do it, and I don't know how I'd be received with my accent. And then
mhm,
Russell Peters came to our college in, I think, 2005 or 6, Ohio State University, and my friend organized it. He killed it, and he was making jokes with Indian accent, and he's a
yeah,
brown guy, and there's like white people, black people, Indian people, everybody was there, and that kind of opened it for me, like, okay, this is something. It doesn't matter like who you are, you can do this as long
mhm,
as you're good. And then I started comedy much later, and Russell came to Stress Factory. I went to see him, and he looks at me and he goes, "Oh, a South Indian comedian. I've seen it all." And then I was like, "Oh," and he laughed, and then we laughed, and then he's like, "Oh, if you had come earlier, I would have given you some time." And I was
yeah,
like, "Okay, I'm going to take you up on that." And I went to see him in Pittsburgh, and he gave me time, and then and he's like, "You know what? You're actually funny. If you stay back, I'll give you tomorrow too." And he gave me both days guest spots.
wow,
And then I was like, and then I looked up where he was going to be at, and he's at Rochester. And I was like, "Can I come to Rochester? And that's only 6 hours for me." And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And I go there. He paid for my hotel. Like I was just doing guest spots, and he paid for my hotel for the
yeah,
weekend. And I did guest spots, and dude, I was so thrilled. I told all my friends, now I opened for Russell Peters, even though it's a guest spot, and I was content, man. Like that was it. Like I was like, okay, I'll build from here. You gave me enough. And then one day he called me and he's like, "Hey, you want to go to Asia with me?" And out of the blue, yeah, I quit my job. I went on a tour with him, took me 7 countries. Um, and then like first show was in Japan. It's like 1,100 people, and he's like, "Okay, this is one of the smaller venues, and you're going to hit bigger venues." And
yeah,
this is what he told me. Like, and he told me this every stage, bro. Like 7 shows. Every time before I go up, he always said, "Vishnu, remember, I'm not putting you up. I did not bring you here because you're my friend or I like you. I brought you here because you're funny.
mm,
So don't go up there thinking I did you a favor. Like go up there like you deserve to be there." And Clayton, like one of the advice Clayton gave me is like I was hanging back on stage a little bit,
Yeah.
because even in my head, like I was like, do I really deserve to be here? Like, I'm
Yeah.
opening for Russell Peters.
Like an
So
imposter syndrome. Like I was
yeah,
thinking, yeah,
I
yeah,
said, how the fuck did I get here? Like, and I was holding back, and Clayton told me after I came back, and he's so observant, bro. He said,
yeah.
I saw you're kind of standing behind on stage, and I saw you like out other times where you're kind of up front. Are you kind of holding back because you like you got to go up there and take charge, so you need to step forward.
Hmm.
And that just like helped click so many things, and that changed my style too.
Yeah. Had you played in front of audiences that big before, or this was like with Russell
Oh
as a first?
no, I mean I've well Russell, I opened for Russell Peters in NJPAC. That was around
Yeah.
5,000 people, and then I did in Atlantic City. That was a couple of thousand. But the biggest crowd I think is we did he did Singapore Stadium, like sports stadium, and
Mm,
I heard it's like 11,000 capacity, and it was at capacity. It was
mhm.
like pretty
Yeah.
much like,
Wow.
because they closed off the back of it, but in the front they said it's around like 11,000 people it fits, and
Mhm.
it was sold out. So
Yeah.
that was really cool.
Yeah. No, I mean that's Russell. It's pretty crazy. But I mean I guess that's one of the things that is. But I mean, you were going viral quite a bit before that. Had he seen your material
Oh
before
yeah.
he?
So when I went to see him in Pittsburgh, this is like so. I messaged Russell saying like, "Hey Russell, I met you at Stress Factory. I see usually he's doing arenas, and but him doing a club is like very rare, and it was pandemic, so he was doing clubs. And I was like, I see you're going to be at Pittsburgh Improv. Can I come and say hi?" And
Mm,
to my surprise, he said, "Sure." I
yeah.
didn't even think he would respond. And then when I went there, because it's a pandemic, they were like, "You can't, we can't really get you to meet him because he's not really seeing fans. It's COVID
Mhm.
out." And I was like, I showed them the Instagram message where he said, "Sure," and I was like, he said, "Sure. Is it okay? Like, can you ask him?" And then he goes and asks him. So I go back. This is like the literally the first time when I just met him at Stress, and he doesn't know me at all, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I walk in and he comes back and he's like, "Okay, you can come in." I go in, and I was like, and he's like, "This is the guy," and he's like, and I guess he thought I was a fan. Like he's like, you're a comedian, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "How do you know? I met you at Stress." And he's like, "I don't remember that, but I saw one of your bits online."
Yeah.
I'm like a dumbass. I was like, "Which one?" And he actually told me which one, but later on he told me, like, when I messaged him, like he said, like, the reason I checked your stuff is basically when you messaged me, usually people are like kind of like the way they ask, they kind of like what is that, passive aggressive, or like
Mhm.
but you were more like humble, and you're like the way you wrote it, it made like it made me like want to see who you are. And when I went on your page, I checked one of your bits, and I was like, oh, this guy is funny, like that's why I
Mhm.
remembered it. And like
Which, which bit was it? I gotta ask you if
oh,
you can
it's
share.
about, dude, that bit. That's also the okay. That bit helped me so much. That is the one where I got into a fight with my wife,
Okay,
a
I know
situation,
the
um,
hypothetical.
hypothetical
Yeah,
situation. You can play it in the podcast.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I'll play it right now. We'll play it right now. Actually,
We were fighting for 3 days straight about me smoking inside the house. Here is the thing, I don't smoke. It was a hypothetical question. She was like, if you were to smoke, I don't think you should be smoking inside the house. Since I don't smoke, that should be an easy thing to answer, right? But for some fucking reason, I was like, I'll smoke wherever the fuck I want to smoke.
Yeah, it's basically my wife and I fighting during the pandemic,
Yeah.
um, uh, about a hypothetical situation,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that did help me. Like Russell saw that, and he gave me a guest spot, and then that's another. I posted it again after a while, and Bill Burr
Yeah.
reshaped it, and I don't know. Like until then, I was trying to get an audition at Comedy Cellar and clubs at New York, and no matter how much I try, nobody gives me audition. And like I did one audition at Cellar, I passed the first audition, but I didn't get the second one because I
Uh-huh.
don't have any credits.
Yeah.
And after that, like ST called Godfrey, and she's like, now who is this guy? And Godfrey told me this, like he's funny, and Godfrey's like, yeah, I sent you his information. And she's like, okay, tell him to come on Saturday. And I got an audition at Cellar, and now I'm a Cellar comedian.
Yeah, you are. Like I said, it's crazy how that happens. So how does it so we're talking about TikTok and your stand-up clips on TikTok.
Yeah,
Um
TikTok and Instagram and yeah.
and yeah, everything, the social media stuff. So there's a Toronto comedian I really like here. His name is Noor Kidwai, and he's also kind of rising the city here. And
Yeah.
we were talking about whether this is a good time or a bad time for comedy. And then, with cancel culture and everybody getting offended. But he said was that he's like, this is the best time for comedy, not because of people getting offended or cancel culture, but it's the best time because comedians can use social media. They can use TikTok and Instagram to really just go and make themselves known and just organically really grow an audience. So
Totally agree with
in
him.
your case, yeah, it seems like I was going to ask you, like, how important is that?
It's any artist, any artist, no matter what you are good at, the
Mhm.
barriers are literally broken down, which also means now it's a cesspool
Yeah,
because
there's a lot of
everyone
people.
who wants to try it will get into it.
Yeah.
And if you can only manage to shine because you have talent, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Like you don't have gatekeepers anymore. Nobody can sit there and make you wait to get your turn.
Mhm.
Movies like back in the day, if you want to make a movie, renting a Panavision camera is $250,000 a day or something like that. There's no freaking way you can make a movie, even if you're good at it, even if
Right.
you know how to tell a story. Now you can take your iPhone and make a movie and put it on YouTube. Not only do you have a way to make it, you also have a way to present it.
Mhm.
You had an idea, you make a video on YouTube and put it there, and there are people that are going to find you. Maybe
Yeah.
not today, they're going to find you. You keep doing it. Now you're an artist, you draw your stuff, post them on your page, and people will come and buy them from you.
Mhm.
Photographer, like as a comedian, like people were working for, like, before me, it used to take people 20 years to get where I am right now,
Mhm.
like from the beginning. And it did not take me 20 years, because
Yeah.
back in the day you got to wait in the wings, hoping somebody would give you an opportunity. And now the
Mhm.
bookers are the ones with the power. They treat you like shit. If you're a girl, like, you got to go through other problems, it's they if they dude, girls go through so much. I have so much respect for artists that are girls, like,
Yeah. It's crazy.
because it's just they have to go through so much shit. And now it's like all those shackles are gone, you
Mhm.
know like I don't have to, I don't know what the rating for this podcast is. I
Mhm.
don't, is it okay if I say it here? But I don't have to
Yeah.
suck my dick
Mhm.
to be an artist. I don't need to do favors for nobody. I don't need someone to tell me how to do my job. I would literally, if I can't go get a club, I mean, that's how I started. I used to tape my stuff on open mics, because
Mhm.
at an open mic, usually at some of these clubs, the big clubs, you want to have the name on the back to let people know that I don't want to just do it in some basement. But if I do
Mhm.
an open mic, there would be like a Wednesday open mic or something. There won't be any laughs because it's
Yeah.
all comedians. But I would tape it, and then I would post it, and people would comment like, "Oh, the audience suck," like, they were not laughing. This is funny, and that's how I started.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
used to spend so much money to go into city, wait there for a couple of minutes of time. Or sometimes they would be like, okay, just hang around. We'll see if we can put you on. And then they would say no. And then sometimes you just got to you just got to keep showing up like so many times until someone gives you time. And then,
Mhm.
like, by now you're not on stage for a week or two, except for open mics. So you're not really seasoned. Now you got to prove it to someone. It's really, I mean, being an artist, any artist is hard, but thank God, like now, thanks to technology, at least
Yeah.
the shackles are not there. Like if you're really an artist, you will figure out a way to make it.
Yeah, I've so like I've as an author, and then I also used to play music a lot. Like I've always played in bands, and I
Yeah,
remember when I was growing up, we had to rent a recording studio. We had to make sure that we had just our 8 hours. That's
yeah,
all we can afford. We had to
yeah,
go in and we had to pay. Then we got the tapes. We used to dub the tapes and distribute them
yeah,
to people. And now, and even that was like a shitty demo quality
yeah,
thing. And I always tell people, I'm like, if you want to give charity, rather than giving people money that will get spent
yeah,
easily, just give them one of these. This is like, now this is a stuff that people couldn't afford then. This is a recording studio, it's a
yeah,
publishing company, it's a movie
yeah.
studio. It's and you have kids in like
Oh,
Senegal.
what is that? I missed it. You showed
Oh,
it, but I
oh,
didn't.
sorry, I didn't mean to. This I should know this better. This is I'm talking about my phone,
Oh,
right?
phone. Okay, okay, yeah,
Yeah. So I have, if you have a
yeah,
smartphone iPhone, like
yeah,
what it'll do is it is a recording studio, it's a movie studio, it's a publishing company, it's a worldwide
yeah.
distribution company.
Yep, yep,
It's everything you want it to be. And if
yeah,
there's kids in Senegal who in the past would never have had the opportunity to
yeah,
record a broadcastable demo, for instance, but
yeah,
now they can do it. They can do it. So
yeah,
even though you have we always talk about the income inequality gap, and I agree that that's widening and that's a
yeah.
problem. But the opportunity gap that there was before between the rich and the poor, now like people have, there's kids that come up out of nowhere,
The
and
income gap, bro. Like, watch this. Like back in the day, people that are rich people,
yeah,
they could hide. A lot of them times their business is hidden, like what they do is hidden, people don't know what's going on, how they're making their money. But now even that is like information is just everywhere, and we're getting to know more and more about how people are making their money and who's making the money and how they're making money is affecting the world. you
yeah,
know I would say since 2012 is when things changed, and now we are literally seeing the fruits of it, because
hmm
2020 during the pandemic we all stayed home, and we literally figured out how to use this technology.
hmm
And I'm telling you, you might see some friction, but I really think like future is great. I am
yeah,
really helpful because um, people are coming together. I know like so many, like back in the day when I grew up in India, like I talk about it with my Pakistani friends. Like, I have a lot of, I grew up in a half and half town where it's Indians and Hindus and Muslims. But like, but we were all taught to hate Pakistan, like for no fucking reason. Like, like those guys want to kill us. Like, like they all want to, like a million people, billion people want to kill us. And we used to believe that. And I bet it's the same way there.
well, same thing, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And,
evil,
and now you're like people are like talking to each other online, and now you're seeing these are regular people who just want to live their lives. They don't want to kill us. They don't want to, and back in the day, like, bro, I recently read somewhere. I don't know if it's even true. Like
mm
the madrasa curriculum in
hmm
that is taught in Pakistan, which is basically a lot of what was telling, like, Hindus want to kill them and whatever. It was written in University of Nebraska
hmm
during like Cold War. And
oh
imagine that, like, okay, this is like people actually had scholars figure out how to brainwash people and came up with that education and provided it to people there. So these people are constantly at each other's throat, so they
mm.
can't accomplish their full potential.
It's
Like,
a classic. It's like what you talk about with the British rule, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's how
yeah,
they did it.
yeah,
It's a
yeah, it's the
it was
same
the divide
thing.
and rule, right?
I mean, back then they were like they literally took us over, but
mm
now they're not ruling us over. They are just puppet masters,
mm.
and they let us think that our governments are ruling us, but they're really in the hands of these multinational companies. And British was a multinational company.
mm.
When it's not a country, the people of Britain never invaded us. It was
It's the East India Company.
East India Company, a
Mm.
multinational company with the blessing of the royal family.
Yeah.
They are the ones who invaded it. And even now, look at the Epstein case. Like, who is there? The royals.
Mm.
Who are there in that list? All the rich people. Their lives are all coming out. They're all unwrapping, right? We're all
Yeah.
getting free. And that is what is going to bring people and together. Like, Did you imagine, like, it's not about taking which side, like, in the war, I'm not even trying, just like back in the day, if there is a war, like right now, Israel Palestine war,
Mm,
our only source of information is what, CNN and Fox, and what they
mm,
tell us. But now look at, everybody's getting their information, and now the pressure on these political forces to like, they might take it or not, but these people are going to pay price for their crimes. Like, I'm not taking sides in who
mhm.
did what, but I'm not even taking sides about the war, but I'm
Well,
just
you're
saying
talking
that.
about the leadership, right? The leader, like they're gonna, and I actually wrote about this in my book as well. Is that the internet and
Yeah,
Facebook citizen journalism has actually brought down all these dictators in the Middle East in the Arab
yeah,
Spring. That Mubarak and
yeah,
Tunisia and everywhere. These are people that were entrenched in Libya. They were
yeah.
entrenched there for decades. I lived in Libya. I
Yeah,
grew up in Libya
yeah.
partly, right? And
Look at what is happening in Pakistan right now. Imran Khan
yeah,
is jail, but is in jail, but are people sitting alone? Like, they're making noise, you
yeah,
know, and that would not have happened like 10 years back.
yeah.
I mean, to begin with, I don't know why the hell they put Imran Khan in jail. The guy won the World Cup,
I
and
know. Like,
single-handedly, he is like your national Pakistani national treasure. The guy
mhm.
should be like treated like the king, and
Yeah.
they put him in jail. I don't know the political thing, but like, I'm like, and now people never spoke against the Pakistani army. Now people are actually saying like the Pakistani army has too much power. Like,
It
it's not
does. Yeah.
handle people, and that would not have, those communications would not have happened. And I'm just really excited about future, bro.
You know what? I completely, I'm so glad you said that because a lot of people think that, they talk about, well, this is the downfall of everything and the downsides. It's not. It's actually brought more equality. It's brought, and I was going to ask you this, like, you said that with the TikTok and the social media
Yeah,
and everything, it really, really did wonders for you.
yeah,
Um, but like when you have Bill Burr like sharing one of
yeah,
your
yeah,
bits,
yeah.
there, so it's how much of this is in the beginning, luck used to play a big part. So there's luck, and then there's actually, your talent and your work. And then there's what people say that luck is basically opportunity for the prepared.
Well,
So people who put themselves out there. Yeah. And now that you are in the position that you're in. Yeah.
yeah, the opportunities are less, so luck used to play a role.
Hmm.
Because the one time you get a chance, if you're not your 110%, and then someone else is 110%, your opportunity is gone, and then you
Hmm.
might not get it again. But now it's not luck; it's perseverance, right?
Hmm.
Perseverance. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah. Perseverance. Yeah. I
perseverance.
think that's what you're trying to say.
Definitely, like, I might not be 100% now. I post a clip, I might only get 10 views, but like, but now I get feedback from people telling me why they don't like it. Now I go back, fix it up, and I can come back. I come back. I come back. That's how I built it. Like when I posted my first clips, people told me what they liked, what they didn't like,
Hmm.
and then I would take that notes, and I would also, like, before, like, I wouldn't watch myself, right? Like, because I don't have an incentive to tape myself, and I hate watching myself, and
Yeah.
so I wouldn't watch myself, and if I don't watch myself, I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Hmm.
But now when I'm trying to cut these clips and post them online, I'm watching myself. I'm forced to watch myself, and I am forced to see I don't like that way, the way I look there, the way uh,
Hmm.
and now you're like working on yourself, working on like your bits, and this is the world is a different place, bro. I'm telling you. And the
Yeah.
people that are complaining are those old hogs that are used to having the power, and that they're afraid they're going to lose the power
Hmm.
because they don't have the talent. With the AI, they talk about AI, right? AI is going to take us over and get our jobs, like lose our jobs. But whose jobs AI is going to take? The middle managers, the people
Hmm.
that don't even exist.
Yeah. No,
There
middle.
is no need for middle managers.
Uh,
The people that plow the fields and plant the seeds are still going to be working. They're still going to be making money. Artists are going to make money. A true artist would now, like, the people, like, they talk about how AI is going to take over, like, artists, like, whatever the music or like writing, like, the
mhm.
writers, they're going to replace writers. No, it's not going to replace the original writer. AI can never replicate an original writer. It will
Mhm.
there's a guy in the middle who takes a piece here and a piece here and a piece there, and come up
Yeah,
with
you're right. Yeah.
the writer room guys, they can't write their own thing, but they can, I'm not shitting on what they're doing, but they can enhance someone else's work. And
Mhm.
sometimes they don't even give the original writer credit. They just, like you have movie makers, they take stuff from somewhere else, mix it up with other people, and then now they got a script they sell. Well, now AI can do it. So a
Yeah.
producer don't need to work with this middle guy who takes others people's works and becomes a director himself. So
Yeah. And the thing is, like, a lot of the art, the movies and the writing that happens, that comes from unique human
yeah,
experience. The
yeah,
AI doesn't have that unique
yeah, I
human
can't do it.
experience.
Yeah,
But it can't it can't come from it. So and even when you tell AI to write things, you tell it to write things, say write it in the style of Hemingway, or the write it, but
yeah,
it's not.
it's not going to be the same. It's the
It's
original.
always going to be derivative. Yeah.
Yeah, AI can never match a original script. It's just not going to happen because the original script comes from my life.
Yeah.
AI never lived my life. It's not going to understand what I think. It might
Right.
see what I do and replicate that action, but the
Uh-huh.
emotion behind it, only I understand why I did what I did and where I did. As an
Yeah,
artist,
the
when I see
subjective
that,
like experience of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
that's it. Like the middle managers, yeah, their jobs are fucked. They're gone.
yeah.
And anyone who works leeches of other people, their jobs are gone. It's time for people to figure out their passion and utilize that to make a living.
Yeah, I agree. And so I wanted to, like, so now you're talking about a little bit about human experience and how you draw from that. So and this is something that, I always want to ask comedians, especially because it's just that a lot of their humor sometimes comes from dark places. And I've seen you often joke, about what other people often find to be really difficult personal struggles. Like, you talk about your weight a lot, right?
Yeah.
And you've got some really funny jokes about it now. But now, when you use comedy to address something like that, as a comic, like, you always see this humorous side to tough emotional situations
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
conversations, right?
Yeah.
Now, does that affect your relationships when some that say people are trying to be serious, and you say that people shouldn't take themselves too seriously. So when people are trying to be too serious and you're being humorous, does that cause any issues?
I'm sure it does. I probably didn't even notice because
Yeah.
it's like how it is. Like if someone don't want to be around you, I'm not going to go and try to be around them. I want to be around people that want to be around me.
Yeah.
If they don't see my intention behind my what I say, as because a lot of times that's why a lot of my jokes are about me, because
Mhm.
I'm not going to be offended. My wife complains like you're too confident. You can't be confident. Like, like how can you be confident about everything? You
Mhm.
know, and my wife says that sometimes. I'm kind of surprised that you're confident about it. You're
Yeah.
not the tallest guy. You're not the best looking guy, and how can? But for me, it's like if I'm honest about it, why can't I be confident of this is me?
Yeah.
I can do nothing about this, and I'm going to make fun of it. And if that hurts someone else, that's their problem.
Does it make you feel like when you do joke about these things, does it make you sort of accept it more? Does the humor, does it that help you sort of just accept and say, fuck it, this is who I am?
Yeah, I mean, it's also, how it is. Like you go through phases, right? If shit
Right.
happens to you, first you're pissed off. Like, why did it happen to me? I don't deserve it. First you're pissed off at the other guy who did it. Then
Mhm.
you're like, you're pissed off at the universe that it let happen. Then you accept it. Now you got to figure out how to get out of it. And then you finally like, I can't believe I let that happen to me.
Mhm.
Now you have a story, a joke to tell, and
Yeah.
sooner I can get to there, the sooner I can make money out of it.
Yeah.
So shit happens to me, that's my thing. Okay, shit happened, let me see how I got here, and,
Mhm.
and let me make jokes about it. And if it's my fault, the joke is on me. If it's the other guy's fault, the joke is on him. And if he's going to be pissed off about it, fuck him, that's his problem. As soon as I landed though, guys, I gotta tell you, I fell in love with this country. Yeah, I was like, I love this country. Thank you. I was like, I love this country, I belong here. You want to know why I fell in love with this country? Yeah. Thanks, bro. None of these guys didn't give a but
Because I found out I'm not fat anymore. I called my friends in India. I was like, you motherfuckers. I'm not fat anymore. I'm American.
I love, you talk sometimes about, and I got to ask you if this is true. I know that you've talked about, you were sitting in your 7-Eleven and you got that phone call.
Yeah.
Did you ever own a 7-Eleven? You worked in IT for real or no?
No, I didn't. So what I noticed is, as a stand-up comedian, every time I go up on stage, there is some guy in the audience who got a 7-Eleven joke, and who sees me and thinks of a 7-Eleven, and now he thinks he's funnier than me.
Yeah.
So he's going to be sitting in the audience going like, oh, this seven, like, and he's going to have his girlfriend next to him. So he wants to show off to her. He's a funny guy. So he's going to come at me because in his head, he's like, oh, this 7-Eleven guy is going to make me laugh. Look at all my 7-Eleven jokes. So they throw a 7-Eleven joke at me. And I've seen this happen. 7-Eleven
Yeah.
joke, Uber joke, the low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
So that's why I wrote this 7-Eleven joke, because for them specifically, because I'm going to go up there and I'm going to make jokes about 7-Eleven, but my 7-Eleven joke is going to be funnier than you. So after my 7-Eleven joke, you're going to realize I am funnier, even with the 7-Eleven thing. So now you're going to sit back and enjoy the show. It's not like it's not like I hate them or something. It's just like, that's one of the way of approaching a stereotype. Like, okay, like I can accept it, I can take it, and I can reciprocate it. Now, can you take it? Because
Yeah.
that's the bullies, right? Every school I go to, I met a bully. And the thing, how they come at you, they come at you with something, some joke. They try to make fun of you or your religion or your people. Where, depending on where I'm in India, they would make fun of my language, like Telugu. Like, people that, if I'm in Karnataka or somewhere, they would make. When I was in Delhi, when I grew up in Delhi, they would make fun of me being a South Indian. There's
Yeah.
always, bullies always want to find something, they think you're insecure about, and hit you there, so they can they can have an upper hand on you. But
Yeah.
however, if I accept it and then reciprocate it, now see, like, and I attack your insecurity, now let's see how you handle that. You
Yeah.
know, and a lot of times that's how you get respect from bullies too, because they're all insecure,
Yeah.
and they see you squirm, they think they won, because that is the only way they can feel like they're somehow, like,
That someone. Yeah, you can either lift yourself up, you can put others down. Feel
yeah,
good.
yeah.
That's what they do. They put
and
others down.
and if you show them like, okay, you're not going to put me down by that stupid statement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
okay, that shit ain't going to work on him, so I'm going to either I stay away from him or I be friends with him. Because
Yeah.
because the minute I see a weak point, I'm going to make fun of you now. Like, the minute you try to make fun of me and it didn't get me, I'm going to make fun of you in front of your friends, and now they're laughing at you. Let's see how you handle it.
Right.
And then you
Yeah.
try to come and hit me, I'll be like, really? Like, you can't be funnier than me? I just moved here, and I don't even know your language. I'm not even from around here, and the only way you can get it to me is like raise your fist. Like, you can't say nothing. Now, like, this happened a few times,
Yeah.
with bullies. That would be my go-to. I'd be like, listen, like, you tried to come at me, I gave shit to you, now you can't even take it, and it's your own land, this is your place.
That's the thing. Most of them can. Most of the people who say, "Oh, I say it like it is," I tell people what most of those people, in my experience, they can't take it in return.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna say that, if you want to be blunt, like I'm very blunt,
Yeah.
I can go around and say whatever. You have to be able to take it in return.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, you call them out on that, at least they're going to be like, okay, I'm going to back off on this guy.
yeah, man. I have. How does it? So we talked about, you said you have 2 kids. I told you I have a daughter as well, and so and you've done work, and I've we are into. I think one thing that I really relate to you on is that I am very, very committed sort of to the idea of shattering some of these stereotypes that people have. So and you also have, so you have 2 children. and you talk about them from time to time in your bits. Like, you have this one bit where you say that, you're raising them gender neutral because you like buying shit on sale.
2 kids. I got a 10-year-old and an 80-year-old. I'm raising them gender neutral. Not because I'm trying to. I just like buying shit on sale. The other day I got my older son, a pink bicycle. He's 10 years old. He's like, Dad, boys don't ride around pink bicycles. I was like, son, who told you you are a boy?
That kind of thing. You're an Indian American father, raising your kids in the United States. You've had these experiences like the bullying, people coming at you with certain stereotypes, throwing it back at their face. What is it? What's your communication like with your kids? How do they listen to your comedy? What's your approach or your advice to them to help them sort of understand their roots, but also understand the kind of stereotypes that they'll be subject to? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, one of the shows like I've opened for Russell Peters and NJ Pack. I took my son with me, and I was doing 17 minutes, and I did the entire 17 minutes about my kids, and he had so much fun. Even though, I mean, he watches it like I use word bad, like not I use all words, and but the thing is, like, we talk. I treat them like I always did, like, since. Because when I was growing up, my parents were kind of moving around and I was moving and I was not always with them. So a lot of times they would just sit me down and say, like, Vishnu, you got to stay with your aunt and uncle for like next 1 year because there is no good schools where we are going. And, it's not your house. You got to, like, behave like, like how a guest would behave, like, don't, so when they explain stuff to me, I never had a problem with it. It's when they don't explain stuff with me, I'd be like pissed. Like, I don't know what's going on. Why you do this? So that's the same with my kids. Even my 4-year-old, like, if there is something he's doing, I try to talk to him why he's doing it, what is the reason, and I try to kind of like figure it out myself and ask him, like, is this why you're doing it, because you're feeling this way, and then like get them to think about those things. And the other thing is, like, even my gender neutral joke, I let them hear it, and that's one of the reasons I do it, because I don't want them to be afraid of a stereotype. Like, I don't care what it is, like, you know gay or whatever that is, like, don't be afraid to be who you are, like, that's all I want my kids to be, like, be proud of who you are. And if you're proud, your values will be good, you will do the right thing. The times when my life when I'm not proud of being who I am, that's when I was the stupidest. My behavior, I wasn't very proud of, like, how I would talk to girls, or even like friends, or like how I would behave. The times when I was not proud of myself or not happy about me is when I was at my worst behavior. And
That's right. Yeah, I get that. That's true.
so yeah, I that's all I'm trying to teach them, like, to be proud of who they are, and be. You don't have to attack someone to be like who you are, like, you don't have to step on other people's feet. Like, if you don't have to bother nobody, don't bother nobody, just mind your thing. If you just like giving a little space for someone and moving aside, you know might make it smoother for both, let them have it, like, you don't need, you'll make your money, you'll make whatever you deserve will come to you.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to, like, uh, I just don't want them to be greedy people when they grow up. I want them to be like honest and happy, like, pursuit of happiness. That's like what I really about American, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. I mean, just those three sentences, man, like, so much depth to it. Like, people don't understand, like, how important those are.
Yeah, I love that. I have, and I know that we've been really. Thank you for your time, man. And I want to. So but I have
liberty, and I'll just finish on that. We got life and liberty, and all we need to do is
all the thing. Yeah, no, I have to ask you. I was gonna say I have to ask you like two more questions. I know, so I'm kind of pushing it, but
take
first,
your time. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, I have the
Yeah.
first of all, yeah, the first one is your campaign, the self-driven campaign. I saw the
Yeah.
shirt. I saw you with the self-driven, the baby elephant. I'm not going to tell anybody what that's about, but I am going to post the link to why
Sure.
that is one of the funniest, most brilliant things I've seen. So if you go to vishnuvakacomedy.com right there, and you'll see, there's like, you've got the merch.
Vishnuvaka.com. Vishnuvaka.
Vishnuvaka.com. Oh, it's not comedy. Oh, Vishnuvaka comedy is your social stuff.
Yeah, that's my
Right,
social.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so corrections. Vishnuvaka.com, and then all the social stuff is Vishnu Vaka Comedy. So you have that there, and so I want to. You're like you're rising pretty fast. So I feel like we're going to see a lot more of you in the future, like probably really quickly. But
I mean, not to God, bro. Thank you.
huh? No, I'm telling you, man. You believe me, it's going to happen. But what is your so what are your future plans? What do you see? Where do you see yourself as a comedian? There's some questions about representation. Do you want to this idea of your people and representing them? Is that do you want to be a voice for that? Is there, or is it just a matter of I just want to be funny and I just want to be out there? Like what's your goal as a comedian? Where do you see going?
I really don't know. I just want to. I'm having fun doing what I'm doing, telling jokes, and making people happy, and I'm blessed with that. And if I can only make a living out of that and have a comfortable living, I'm happy. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything else, whatever, God already gave me a gift. Like I can't even ask for anything else.
Is it weird that, like, I know, like, when I heard you say somewhere that you just go with the flow. You're like, okay, I just do what I'm doing and go with the flow, and things happen.
I used to worry about, like, when I grew up with my grandparents. When my parents were moving, I don't want to take too much time, but like my grandmother,
Sure. Take your time.
most of her life worried about some wrongs that were done to my family. Like until she passed away, that's all she thought about. In a way, I felt like that limited my grandfather's potential because it brought him down, because she's so down. Like my grandfather got cheated out of his life's earnings by his own family member.
Yeah.
And it took it just broke them down, and she took it so hard, and that's all she talked about until her death, that I felt like it also took my grandfather down. Even though he's a very funny guy, everybody liked him. And I mean, this guy only knows Telugu, but he could go to Delhi and he would get things done. He would talk to ministers and get things done. That's how funny and unique he is. But he could never regain his place in this. And I see that time and time people just worry about things and get caught up in them. And I'm trying as best as I can, at least now that I found this, that not to worry about past, not to worry about future. I'm just going to be in the present and do the right thing, and let the world take care of rest. I mean, what's the point of trying to worry about stuff?
No, I love that, man. That's great. I'm so happy I got a chance to talk to you, man.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
We've been watching your stuff. My family, everybody's been sending it on WhatsApp, on everything. It's been crazy. I don't know if you know how much you're getting around right now, and it's so you should be like super. I think your kids are gonna be super proud of you. Everything. It's just and you're the way that it's not just the jokes that you tell and the stuff which is hilarious, but also the way that you deliver it, the way you talk about it, it's so authentic. It's just it's very rare to see in a comedian. So I can't wait to see more of your stuff. And thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, bro. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right. Okay.